Maybe I forgot it.
I have it.
Yes, you can. If you're an iPhone, go into, you have to set it. You have to put your favorite picture. See?
Thank you.
Then there's no favorite picture.
Good evening. Welcome to the meeting of the Skokie Village Board for Monday, June the 17th, 2024. This evening, we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Village Clerk Manal Desai.
Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The meeting will come to order, and the clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Sutker,
Here.
Trustee Robinson,
Here.
Trustee Kuhn,
Here.
Trustee Johnson,
Here.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan,
Here.
Trustee Klein, Mayor Van Dusen.
Here, the motion passes. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. A motion is in order. Trustee Sucker, seconded by Trustee Kuhn. Is there anything anybody would like to have removed?
I do want to remove 8A just for a real brief question.
8A,
8A.
okay,
Or just 8.
okay.
Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker,
Aye.
Trustee Robinson,
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan, Trustee Klein, Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. This evening, we have a couple proclamations honoring some longtime distinguished citizens of the village of Skokie for their incredibly great work that they have done for all of us. And this evening, we would like to honor them. The first is L's Cycle Shop. Whereas L's Cycle Shop, located at 118 Lincoln Avenue, opened for business in 1944 with then owner Al Koch, and was known then as Al's Auto Parts, which sold auto parts, household items, and bicycles. And whereas in 1974, Larry Binder began working at Al's Cycle Shop, remarkably establishing a lifelong career in Skokie, as Larry celebrates 50 years of dedicated, committed service to the cycling community. And whereas Larry Binder purchased the business in 1985, and then in 1987 purchased the building, continuing an 80-year history of 8118 Lincoln Avenue being a go-to destination for cycling enthusiasts. And whereas L's Bicycle Shop runs the gamut with selling and servicing a multitude of bicycles, ranging from recreational to commuter styles, L's Cycle Shop provides the expert advice and guidance in finding the perfect bicycle for the specific needs of individuals and families alike. And whereas the long-standing reputation and commitment that L's Cycle Shop provides to our community is being recognized for 80 years as a downtown Skokie business. And specifically, Larry Binder is being honored and recognized for his 50 years of contributions to the downtown Skokie business community. Now, therefore, I, George Van Dusen, Mayor of the Village of Skokie, do hereby proclaim and extend our best wishes to L's Cycle Shop, Larry Binder, and his team for consistently maintaining a premier cycle shop in downtown Skokie. On behalf of the Village of Skokie and all of our elected officials, we wish L's Cycle Shop much continued success and I'd like to take a moment and recognize Carol White. Carol?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? We are so excited to celebrate Al Cycles and Larry's commitment to downtown Skokie that we created an event around it for the entire month of July. So, please participate in the Tour de Skokie. Don't be confused with that France event. And we have over 26 businesses. We have partnered with the Skokie Public Library, and you can follow a map starting July 1st, and you can read a book that will have the pages. It's a storybook walk. So these pages will be on 26 different downtown Skokie business windows, storefront. The book is Ride Beside Me, a children's tale on bike riding, and it is written by an Evanston author, Lucy Kinsley, and it will end at Al Cycles. So we're excited to celebrate, 50, but really 80 years in downtown Skokie with 30 days in July, unless there's 31 days, I don't remember, of an event. So, Larry, congratulations, and anything you want to say?
Larry, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Take a picture.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Microphone's all right.
It's been quite a ride for me. I'm grateful for the privilege of being able to serve the community for so many years. The people at the village, Village Hall, the police, the library, fire, Public Works, everybody, have always been so nice to me and so great to me. So you guys need to be acknowledged too. And I do want to thank the village for acknowledging my 50 years. Where has time gone? It seems like just yesterday. I don't know if anyone did the math, I was only 14 when I started. There were no such thing, to the best of my knowledge back then, as a work permit. But yeah, I started as an after-school job when I was 14 years old. And that's it. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't know you were there.
He still has the bicycle you sold him. I won't tell you how many years ago, but
Do you still ride?
I do not think he does. And it's because of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we would also like to honor one of the great restaurants in the village of Skokie. I think we all recommend it. Whereas Charcoal Oven, located at 4400 Gulf Road in Skokie, is a family-owned and the oldest continuing operating restaurant in Skokie since 1949. And whereas Charcoal Oven is celebrating its 75th anniversary in the restaurant and service business. And whereas Charcoal Oven was originally established by Philip Georgios on June 1st, 1949, and his daughter Maria Georgios Franco continues the legacy to this day. And whereas Maria's commitment, dedication to our community, her persistence through adversity, and unwavering efforts have continued to keep one of the community's business landmarks viable. And whereas this establishment is open on Fridays and Saturdays with private parties, and during the week with notable favorites, Greek chicken, prime steaks, fresh seafood, and lamb chops. I think I've had each one there. not at the same time, however. Whereas Charcoal Oven, with its efficiently run staff, continues to provide quality service and attention to each patron. I might add, they also make the best brandy Manhattan in the village of Skokie. And whereas Charcoal Oven runs a full bar and a vintage supper club atmosphere, and was one of 4 nominees for Skokie Business of the Year in 2023. Now therefore, I, George Van Dusen, Mayor of the Village of Skokie, do hereby commemorate the 75th anniversary of Charcoal Oven in the Village of Skokie, and do hereby congratulate Charcoal Oven and their wonderful staff for their continued commitment to providing quality food and service to our community. On behalf of the Village of Skokie and our elected officials, we wish Maria Georges Franco and the Charcoal Oven much continued success.
Sorry, I'm gonna cry.
Retake,
What do you want from a Greek, you know?
retake the bicycle.
It's a very proud day moment for me, not just a day, but, you know, I don't get tired of us meeting like this. I love these. June 1st was the anniversary of my father buying the restaurant, but it has been an existing business in Skokie since 1919 or 1920. When I got the email from Carol, I said to my husband, how do they know that we've been in business for 75 years? Like, do you really care? And that's the whole point, is one of the reasons why we're still here. As I was kind of thinking about our chef who's been there for 50 years, his cousin who's been in the kitchen for 25 years. This June is the 20th anniversary that I left the corporate world to help my dad. And during COVID and so many other problems that small businesses have, Len was calling me, Leslie was calling me, Howard was calling me. Now, Carol, I'm sure you will be calling me with not just questions of what can the village do for you, but real solutions to problems. And I started thinking about something that another wise woman said, it takes a village. And those of you who have businesses in Skokie, you're very, very lucky to be in this village. And I thank you so much for this. I want to thank my husband too.
Pedro,
Go back up there, thank you.
I was totally new to Greek. You and I was.
yeah.
I know. Thanks. No, still you can see it.
The light was on his face.
I know, but her strap.
Well, it's
Yeah.
And congratulations on the anniversaries of both L's Cycle Shop and the Charcoal Oven. The village is proud to have both of you here for such a long period of time. You have become landmarks, and thank you for everything you've done for us. And the service is nothing but quality. Thank you. And next item on the agenda is appointments. Trustee Johnson.
I'm not sure he's here, but I did want to welcome Mr. Quadri to our Ethics Commission. Mayor, I only took this off because I wanted to check in about our compliance with Section 2447 of Village Code, which concerns our attendance requirements. I've emailed the board a few times about how somewhere around 10 to 15% of our commissioners are not in compliance with a section of code that requires that we take action. And so I just wanted to check in with you and see if this is something we could do at our next meeting. I think all that would be required is really a list from your office of commissioner reappointments and resignations.
Let me explain.
Sure.
My pre-COVID, the way I usually handled it was every couple months or so, I would go over the attendance record, and if somebody appeared not to be in compliance, I would send them a letter, ask them if there was a problem to get in touch with me. COVID happened, and we literally suspended almost, not quite every, but almost all of the commissions for close to a year. Last September, we told the commissions that we expected that they would be meeting in person, just as village employees were returning to their offices. Some of the chairs called me and said that they were very concerned because there had been some reports in the news that there was a new virulent strain of COVID, and some of the members of the commissions were very resistant, or concerned, I should say, not resistant, but concerned about returning in person. So I told the commissioners that no, they needed to go ahead, hold in-person meetings, but I would be lenient until January of this year as far as attendance, to give people a chance to get used to it, to give the commissions an opportunity to put agendas together and try and get themselves reassembled. So I've gone over, and I've sent letters to some of the people who are lacking since January. I didn't go back to September because I had this agreement with the chairs. And I will certainly let members of the board know as soon as I've gotten responses. I've gotten a couple, but I look forward to a couple others as well.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
You're welcome. A motion to confirm the appointment of Habib Quadri to the Ethics Commission would be in order. Trustee Pure Slovan, seconded by Trustee Klein. Are there any comments? Being none, please call the roll.
Trustee Sudker? Aye. Trustee Robinson?
Great choice. Aye.
Trustee Kuhn? Aye. Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Purslovan?
Aye.
Trustee Klein? Mayor Van Dusen?
Aye, the motion passes. Next item is report of our village manager, John Lockerbie.
Thank you, Mayor Van Dusen and village trustees. Good evening, everyone. Item A is regarding an intergovernmental agreement for Public Works Mutual Aid. The Public Works Department is requesting to join the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network, which provides mutual aid for public works-related emergency response. This is a cost-effective approach to strengthen our response to emergency, whether weather-related or other. It formalizes a long-standing informal understanding and commitment for neighboring agencies to assist one another during an emergency. The partnership will allow us to leverage shared resources in an expedited manner during times of need and to reciprocate to our neighboring communities. This intergovernmental agreement not only coordinates equipment and manpower, but also provides leadership support from member agencies that have had similar disasters. There are numerous statewide participating member agencies. Some neighboring communities include Evanston, Des Plaines, Glenview, Lincolnwood, Niles, Arlington Heights, and Wilmette. I concur with staff's recommendation and respectfully request board approval of a resolution authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement to enter into the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network.
A motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement for Public Works Mutual Aid is in order. Trustee Robinson, seconded by Trustee Kuhn. Are there any comments or questions? I see Max is here this evening. Trustee Robinson.
I was just gonna ask, is this something that needs to be voted on, or how frequent is the IGA?
So it does need to be voted on this evening, and the frequency of the vote, I'm going to ask Max Slanker, the Director of Public Works, to come to the podium. It is interesting to think back when we have used this type of reciprocal arrangement, and many years ago, we had a pretty severe weather event that came through town, and it was almost a microburst, and a number of trees were uprooted. And as we were assembling our emergency operation internally, a neighboring city manager called and said, could we provide some assist to you? And so this agreement really formalizes what's been in place for a number of years. But Max, if you want to respond to the
Sure.
frequency.
Good evening. I think the technical answer is once we join into this network, I believe technically the membership period is 1 year and it renews automatically. So basically, we're in until we decide we want to be out.
That's great. See great value in the relationship, especially with the neighboring communities.
So
Mayor?
that the Public Works neighbors.
That's right.
Mayor, thank you. I don't know if this is, I don't know. Oh, it's on, okay, thank you. I think this is wonderful. I think it's very important, and I'm glad to see that it's really like a no-brainer because the fee annually, which we didn't reiterate, is really small. It's only $250 annually, and obviously, it's a very important, and it just seems like, why wouldn't we?
Any other comments or questions? If not, call the roll, please.
Trustee Sutker? Aye. Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Klein?
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen?
Aye, the motion passes.
Items B and C were approved as part of tonight's consent agenda, and that completes my report this evening.
Thank you. Next item is report of our Corporation Counsel, Michael Lorich.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees. Good evening, everyone. Item A is an ordinance which was on the consent agenda tonight and was adopted at the beginning of the meeting. Likewise, item B is an ordinance which is on the agenda for second reading tonight. The first reading was on June 3rd, and this also was approved at the beginning of tonight's meeting. Item C concerns procedures for executive session minutes and verbatim recordings. These procedures set out guidelines for review of executive session minutes and verbatim recordings. It follows the provisions of the Illinois Open Meetings Act and the Illinois Municipal League recommendations. This procedure is intended to codify our past practices and the requirements of the Open Meetings Act to review our executive session minutes and verbatim recordings. Mayor, I request board action on this ordinance tonight, and I'm joined by Assistant Corp Counsel Jim McCarthy to aid in any questions.
A motion is in order. Trustee Johnson, seconded by Trustee Klein. Are there any comments or questions?
I have a few, but, well, first, just to clarify, so next month when we do the semi-annual review, am I correct that we'll do this in closed session?
I'm looking to the mayor, but yes, it would be in closed session, proceeding along these procedures and guidelines.
Cool. I wanted to ask, or just for some clarification about just a few sections of this. This is kind of minor, but our village code says that we're supposed to do this every 6 months, but it says we're supposed to do this in January and June, which is 5 months apart. Is there anything way we could just modify this just so it's January and July or December and June? It's kind of minor, but.
We are really trying to track as closely as we can what is in state statute, and we'd like to just stay in that lane from all of our research, reading, and practices. It really works.
I also just wanted to note that near the end in section 5F1, which is about notification of destruction of verbatim recordings, I just want to make sure that that process is really kind of clearly in the hands of our village clerk, since they're the kind of keeper of records. There's one sentence that I think deviates a little bit from what's in village code, and it says that the the actual recommendation about which verbatim recordings would be preserved or destroyed would be decided by the village manager and the corporation council. Anyway, it's a minor note, but I think it might be helpful to just clarify that.
The key to that sentence, and again, it's consistent with what's in statute, is that we would recommend, but it is still the village clerk who would take any action. The word recommend is specific and easily understood and defined. So I appreciate the question, but I think we're spot on. Anything else?
I'll just note, I really appreciate this work. I think this is really helpful. You know, this is kind of less codifying our past practices, and this is more kind of fixing some of our past practices and codifying our future practices. Since we've had some issues with open meetings compliance with closed sessions, I think these guidelines are really helpful. I appreciate that we're correcting and preventing our open meetings violations.
Most of it's consistent with what our practices were. As you know, and we all know, there are various interpretations that have gone on. There have been some clarifications of those, and that was the reason for doing this. And we believe in particular that it's good that it stands as a procedure and not as a codified part of our village code, because this is going to continue to evolve, and every time the state legislature decides to revise what's in statute, we don't need to be running to go through the process of changing our code. We're better off being able to work with this kind of written procedure.
Sure.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Sucker? Aye. Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan? Trustee Klein? Mayor Van Dusen?
Aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. That would conclude my, conclude my report for tonight. I turned off the mic too quick.
Thank you.
Oh, just before the Plan Commission case, can we do something under unfinished business? Two things. First, I just wanted to check in about the referendum resolutions for term limits and ranked choice voting. In terms of a timeline, am I correct that these are going to be on our next board agenda on July 1st?
Very possibly.
Okay. Have we heard back from KTJ yet about their work?
I think it was Friday.
Oh, awesome.
Friday, I can't remember, afternoon or morning. When did I see? Okay, as soon as I got it, I gave
Okay.
it to our manager.
If you could send that to the trustees, I'd really appreciate it. And I'd really like to request that if it's already ready, that we have these on our next agenda, just because if we're going to proceed, we should probably take action in July, just so we don't run out of time. If the goal is to place these on the November ballot, I think we need to do this probably by the end of July.
I would tend to agree with you, yes.
Second, I just wanted to check, you all got a copy of this. I had asked for this to be on our agenda, but it wasn't. For the past few months, I've been advocating that we have a discussion about our closed session performance reviews of our village manager and corporation council. This is something that we used to do every year, but it's been about a year and a half. I'm just kind of requesting a board discussion. I think, Mayor, in the past month, you've kind of unilaterally, significantly,
Not exactly unilaterally, but go ahead.
well, without a board discussion or kind of clear public direction. I think a discussion is merited if we're going to change the way we conduct our performance reviews of our village manager and corporation council. Could this be on our next agenda,
What on the agenda?
this item?
You mean for discussion? Anything can be. The one thing I would comment, there has not been a single member of the village board who has told me that they want to go into executive session to do a performance review. And as a result, because we do need to do a review, I resorted to what we did when I became a trustee and continued. I'm the one who changed the way we did the review. We had always done it by form. In fact, the form that I sent out to the members of the board, I'm reminding a couple of you, I'm not going to point any fingers. But what I did is I went back and took a look at a couple of the forms that had been used before, and I used that. It's also my understanding that that is the procedure that is used in some other municipalities, as well as, I believe, park districts and some school boards. So, but we certainly can put that on the agenda.
Sure. I found the written survey and points really helpful. I do think we should still do a closed session discussion, just because I think that's kind of one of the integral roles of our board, to review the performance and conduct and discuss it together of our board-appointed employees.
I detect some hesitation on the part of the board, but we can put it on for discussion. Next item is our Plan Commission. Chairman Paul Luke with Johanna Neiden.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. Tonight I have one case for you. It's case 2024-15P, a special use permit at 8950 Grosse Point Road, Unit 800. At the May 16th meeting of the Plan Commission, the Commission heard a request of Point Medical Business Park, LLC, on behalf of Tatiana Siskas for a special use permit for services to the elderly and disabled at 8950 Grosse Point Road, Unit 800, in a B2 commercial zoning district. Forever Young Adult Daycare Services, which intends to operate out of a 6,544 square foot tenant space at the west end of the building, will accommodate a maximum of 70 senior citizens and will have a staff of 19 employees. Nearly all seniors will be bused to the site. The facility will house a dining, an entertainment area, a game room, a library, a food prep area, nurse's office, staff offices, and 2 bathrooms. Staff will be present at the site from 7:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m., and the seniors will arrive by 8:30 a.m. and depart at 1:45 p.m., Monday through Fridays. Lunches will be prepared off-site by a caterer. The Plan Commission, on a vote of 7 ayes and 1 member absent, concurred with staff's recommendation to grant the special use.
A motion is in order on Plan Commission 2024-15P, special use permit for 8950 Grosse Point Road, number 800. Motion is in order. Trustee Klein, seconded by Trustee Sucker. Are there any comments or questions? Trustee Pierce-Lovan.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to go on record that I think this is an incredible use of the property. I welcome having seniors have a place that's safe and takes care of them in our village, so I'm really excited by it. However, I have a question because this says that it's approved based upon the proposed positive findings of fact and subject to the conditions listed below, and there were many conditions listed below on the report that we received. Are they going to be, is it all going to be in compliance with the concerns that were pointed out by the commission?
Yes, they will be, plus the state intervenes too. They have requirements for adult daycare centers, so they will also inspect.
Trustee Sucker.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great use of the property and very, very, very much needed as a social worker. I think I know. I just had more of a curiosity question if insurance covers any of this adult daycare for the seniors through Medicare.
Hi, I'm Cindy Cunningham. I'm with Forever Young Adult Day Services, currently in Lincolnwood. Very excited to be moving to Skokie, based on how you treat your businesses today. With regard to funding of our program, there is an Illinois Department on Aging Community Care Program, which is a Medicaid waiver program. It's reimbursed through the federal government for people who are low income to qualify for payment for these services. There are some nursing home policies that also cover, and there are Medicaid managed care organization insurance policies that cover as well.
So it's Medicaid.
John
the community care program, which is through Illinois Department on Aging, has certain criteria that even if you have some assets that are above the Medicaid threshold, you may be able to still be eligible depending upon your needs, as well as if you want to do like a spend down of your assets. But generally speaking, this is all reimbursable through Medicaid.
And do you do an assessment of the client before they come in for the?
So generally what happens is if a participant's interested in adult daycare, they'll first reach out either to us or to their social worker through their community care unit. For example, with many residents that attend our facility in Lincolnwood right now that live in Skokie, they're with North Shore Senior Center. Their caseworker or social worker will do an intake to ensure that they qualify for services based on their criteria as to what they call determination of need, which will determine socially what they need, medically what they need, and if they're capable of attending. Then when they come to our facility, we have a registered nurse that does another intake to ensure that they're going to be able to benefit, to be safe, to be able to participate and enjoy, and get, you know, something out of it other than just a meal, to be able to be active and to, so.
Thank you very much and welcome to Skokie.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? If not, please call the roll.
Trustee Zucker?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Purslovan?
Aye.
Trustee Klein? Mayor Van Dusen?
Aye, the motion passes.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. The concluding item is the one-year action plan for CDBG 2024 FY25. Justin Malone.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Trustees. Justin Malone with the Community Development Department. Really excited to be here today. We are to present the third and final public meeting for the village's Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG. This is a grant that's funded and facilitated through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. And this year we had a few delays. This is why we're here in June. This caused us to prolong this meeting, but it normally takes place between March and May. We did have a weather delay in January, and the delay in February was due to HUD's delay in releasing entitlement grants for everybody. So that's why we're a little bit behind this year, but we're ready to get things going here. So additional requirements for this program do include a number of public meetings so that the public is given a chance to weigh in on how we spend this funding, and they also require that we have a draft version of this plan published on our website for a minimum of 30 days, and so as of today, we've adhered to both of these requirements. I just wanted to break down the program real quick just to explain this. And so each year, entitlement communities do receive funding from HUD, and it is broken down into 3 different categories: planning and administration, with a 20% cap on that, and public services have a 15% cap on those, and then there is no cap on our public facility improvements. I'm going to break these down a little bit further and give some examples as well. So here we are with public services. This kind of funding comes in many ways. The objective mainly lies on assisting Skokie residents with whatever needs they have. Skokie is a really great community for public services. We have a lot of great organizations here, and so we get a lot of applicants for this program. Unfortunately, more than we are able to fund generally. The services go from everywhere between mental health services to senior services, everything from transitional housing, dental, or other healthcare. And so, unfortunately, like I said, with the 15% cap, it limits us, but we really try to help as many as we can with this section of the grant. The second prong of this here is the capital improvements objectives, and this has 3 kind of separate parts. The first is the village's home improvement program, which assists owner-occupied residents, residents of Skokie with owner-occupied homes with repairs that they can get for their home, either with ADA special needs or energy-efficient upgrades or roof, or a lot of people ask for windows, and so this is a program that we continually fund for on an annual basis. The second category under here is for construction and rehabilitation projects. So this kind of helps our the facilities for those public services that provide the services already to the residents. So you go to the service, you go for your services and the facility is upgraded and taken care of as well. And then also we do set aside some funding under this category for our infrastructure, which includes street resurfacing and sidewalk replacement, and those are both in income eligible neighborhoods. And I have some photos to show for that as well. So in early May, we received the funding amount for 2024, where this year we're aiming to get $548,892 in funding, really close to what we received last year, which was $552,000. This program year also wraps up our 5-year plan. So we have a single year plan that goes at the same time as our 5-year plan. So the 5-year plan kind of has different benchmarks and goals. And so this one will wrap up in April 2025, and then we start over with another 5-year plan from 2025 to 2030, which sounds so far away, but it's really not. I bet it'll be here before we know it. So we'll be working on that. The 5-year plan requires a lot of public input, a lot of public meetings, and so we'll be really tuning into what the village needs and what the requests are. Other great exciting news is that 2025 is next year. The funding for that will be Skokie's 50th year receiving CDBG funding. The program actually started only just a couple of years before 1975, but Skokie jumped on board really quick. And so I think that shows a good commitment that the village has to its residents in taking advantage of programs like this. So as of this year, Skokie has received over $20 million in CDBG funding. And I wrote thousands of Skokie residents assisted, but it's definitely a lot more than that. But it's just a really great benchmark in this program, and exciting to see where it happens, where it goes from here on. So I actually was going to just pause here for a second and reflect on some of the projects that have happened in the last 5 years. So I have some before and after photos, and so you can kind of get a feeling to see like some of the stuff that is the projects that are requested, and so see some before and afters here. This is a little bit of a funny photo, but Shore Community Services is an organization that's up at 8350 Laramie. In 2020, they started a request for HVAC repair. Each of these boxes they're only able to apply for funding for like 2 of them at a time, maybe 3. And so they've been doing their whole building, working on the HVAC for 4 years now. And so I think as of this last year, they were able to finish the whole HVAC for that building, courtesy of the CDBG grant. So it was hard for me to find a before and after of HVAC, so this is what it looks like when it's getting replaced. So there's proof for that. This one is in 2022, an organization that we work with called Search. This is an ADA bathroom remodel at a gentleman's group home on Kildare. This is a home that looks just like any other house on the outside, but it holds 5 to 6 men that need minimal assistance with their daily lives, but they will have somebody come in, a caretaker, to just kind of help them a little bit. But anything that would help them, not slip and fall, or maintain their daily life is just a win in our book. We get a lot of requests for bathroom remodels and kitchens, anything that they can help with the wheelchair to get through the house a little bit better, or cabinets a little bit lower so that they can, be more independent and the house is more accessible. Those are the kind of requests that we get a lot of as well. In 2023, Turning Point asked for assistance with a window replacement. Doesn't look like that large of a window, but with the before photos, you can see, they were trying to do some weatherization themselves, or maybe this is tint. But this new window looks really great, and so this is a weatherization slam dunk for us. So we're really excited that they were able to get this one done. And then of course, annually we do have the street resurfacing project, and so this is income eligible blocks in Skokie. So our Public Works and Engineering Department worked with they have a plan for what blocks that they might need to resurface or patch up, I guess. And they will talk with us and see which ones will overlap so we can get this grant to work for them in that way. So this is the 9100 block of Keating Avenue, north of Davis Street. And not only does it look better, but it just kind of gives everyone in the neighborhood one less thing to worry about, no more potholes or rocks or anything like that. So jumping back forward to today, like I said, this is the grant amount that we're looking at receiving for entitlement funds. Our program year goes from May to April. And one of the things that we wanted to emphasize is that we do, like I said before, we receive a lot of applications, more than we're able to fund every year. And we just want to make sure that we take a moment to think and recognize that we appreciate the partnerships and the relationships that the village has with these local organizations. They do a lot of great work, and we really hope that they would continue to apply every year, and so that the residents can benefit from their services. And so these, the folks that have not made it on the list here tonight have been notified, but we're going to go ahead and go through how we're going to break down the funding for today, when we get the action plan approved tonight. So of the 548,000, we're looking at giving some for our program administration and planning, $78,000. Our public services, we have that 15% cap, so we don't have a ton for that, but we do what we can. Our social worker, we are giving some funding to. The village has a social worker that's dedicated to working with low-income residents almost exclusively, and so they are able to provide recommendations or direct services for them, and so it's a program that is really helpful for us. And we're also going to provide funding for Metropolitan Family Services, Peer Services, and North Shore Senior Center. The construction projects, the first three here are village-initiated programs. We're going to continue to invest in our home improvement program so that we can keep having money in our bank for those people who are ready to fix up their home. Street resurfacing again, and we have a sidewalk, 50-50 sidewalk match program that we can assist people, residents who need a couple squares of the front of their home fixed up or replaced. And then also we're going to we're proposing to work with Turning Point, Shore Community Services, the Harbor, Housing Opportunity Development Corporation, Search, CJE Senior Life, AHS Family Health Center, and Wings. And so this year we're actually a little bit grateful to have a tiny bit of extra funding this year. At the end of the 5-year plan, sometimes there was more money available because projects that were budgeted came in under budget, or maybe they were canceled after the plan was approved. There's kind of this accounting that happens every 5 years that kind of tees up a little bit of extra money, so we are able to help a couple other projects this year. And it's a great opportunity to reinvest that money back into the organizations that are applying for the funding here and not just leave it on the table. And so our goal has always been to try to fund projects with as large of an amount as we can so that they are able to get this off their checklist and move on to the next facility project that they would like. And since the construction category has no cap, then this is the perfect opportunity to do that there. So slowing down a little bit here, the village board approval is what we're requesting for tonight of the action plan. So then we'll be getting this plan submitted to HUD, and then they will review and approve, and then we can get this program here kick-started and get this funding to everybody. So I am available for questions, or thank you.
Okay, first, let me take a motion to approve the one-year action plan for CDBG program year 2024, which is FY25. A motion, trustee Klein, seconded by trustee Pure-Slovan. Are there any comments? Trustee Sucker.
So this is larger amounts than we did like years ago for the different agencies. So I'm just curious, how are you going to think about, like, if you gave a large amount for construction to an agency this year, how are you going to think about it next year if they apply? I'm just curious, like, what the philosophy is going to be.
It's kind of there's like a holistic review, I guess. A lot of it's budget and how, what can fit in, and kind of, what's in line with the village's plan, the action plan and the 5-year plan, what kind of goals we need to meet every time. So if there's a focus on homeless outreach or something like that, then that would be something that would be higher on the list or something like that. So a lot of it is budget, getting it in there, but there's also
Like criteria, it's a,
criteria, yeah.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Comments or questions? Being none, call the roll.
Trustee Sedger? Aye. Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Trustee Kuhn? Aye. Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan? Aye. Trustee Klein?
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
The final item this evening is public comment. Is there anybody who wishes? Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, if there's a moment, I just wanted to share something with,
Okay,
with you
sure.
guys afterwards.
Good evening, my name is Erin Wheeler. I'm a 30-year resident in Skokie, and I'm here to just read you a few of my thoughts, or a few of my neighbors' thoughts also. Extend, I'm the block captain, and I'm just representing several of us, about the proposed sidewalks that are proposed for Karloff Avenue. We, three of the blocks on Karloff got mailings on May 21st with a short deadline to reply. Russ Rietveld granted a 1-week extension until June 28th for more discussions. We plan to request another month to ensure that all neighbors understand the implications of their votes, especially for those who don't oppose the sidewalks and have one already on their property, as they are counted as a yes by default. They may or may not know how this affects those who object on the same block. We believe that each block, 8400, 8500, and 8600 in Karloff, should be considered separately for voting due to the significant differences. My 8500 block is far narrower. It's 24 feet wide, with homes mostly having a long driveway and park 2 to 3 cars and have 1-car garages in the front. The 13 driveways facing Karloff are usually loaded with 2 or 3 cars each to keep them off of the narrow street. The 8400 block is 2 feet wider at 26 feet. It only has 2 front driveways facing Karloff, as most have 2-car garages in the back, so there is far less street parking. The 8600 block is 24.5 feet wide, with 8 driveways facing Karloff, but all but one already have a sidewalk, so that is only 1 car that will be displaced to the street, as the driveway is so short that bisecting it with a sidewalk will render it useless for parking. Most homes have garages in the back on that block. The 5 homes proposed to get new sidewalks are set closer to the street than the others on the street, and will have sidewalks very close to their front steps, raising privacy and property value concerns. With regards to 8600 block, I'm not even sure why they're considering putting in the sidewalks, because there is a complete sidewalk on the east side of that block. This block only has the last 5 contiguous homes on the west side without a sidewalk, and they all oppose, but with all the others having sidewalks already installed and probably voting yes by default, they don't stand much of a chance. My other concern is safety concerns, include increased congestion and collisions. My 8500 block, with homes set further back and long driveways, faces potential parking issues due to the planned sidewalk intersecting the driveways, increasing street parking, congestion, and collision risk. The bisecting sidewalk plan for those homes will add 5 more cars to the street minimum that would need to park on an already crowded and narrow street. Recent incidents of parked cars being hit as neighbors back out underscore the safety risk, particularly with the emergency vehicle access potentially compromised by the narrow passages. We would like consideration for alterations to the plan to leave the proposed sidewalks set at the curb to not have to displace cars to the streets. Making curbs around the light posts is the same as I see happening a lot around mature trees in town. The short deadline, the 3 blocks grouped for voting, and safety concerns are what I'd like noted. Russ and Paul in the engineering department have been very responsive, but appear to be inflexible with the designs. That's just what I'd like to know.
Okay, are those comments written out?
Yes.
Can I get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you could give it to Trustee Kuhn, I'll make sure that members of the board get your comments. Thank you.
I'm Kay Silva. I'm in the same block as Erin, and I have the same concerns as her, but I have a little different take on it. Everyone in our neighborhood purchased homes there because of the way it looks and feels. Not having sidewalks is a big part of that. I don't know if you've ever been over there, but it's just like all this green expanse everywhere and like beautiful, you know, trees and all that. It's really unique. I've lived in this neighborhood for 20 years and have always trusted in the village to have my back, respect my family, and make the right decisions for the community. The village and residents work in a partnership, which is one of the unique and wonderful things about Skokie. The way that the village recently intruded into our lives with the sidewalk decree makes me think our village government is becoming more self-serving, generic, and more concerned with their image and checking off boxes. It seems that you don't care what people who actually live on these individual blocks think and feel about this action, what we want, and how disruptive it would be to our standard of living, lifestyle, to retrofit our land with sidewalks that we didn't ask for. Why weren't we asked what we actually thought through neighborhood development meetings way before the map of what already was decided upon was dropped in our mailbox, along with a short response deadline? This is how the map looks, what was just put in our mailbox without asking us anything. Skokie has made some questionable decisions concerning sidewalks in the past, such as having residents put in random floating bits of sidewalk when they do home improvements. This idea hasn't worked well, and now the new idea is to fill in the gaps made with this previously flawed plan. How about just removing the random floating sidewalks and developing a better holistic design? This proposal seems to intentionally be designed to result in a win for sidewalk installation. For instance, it lumps 3 distinct and disparate blocks together, as Aaron said, for no apparent reason. These 3 blocks were designed and built in totally different decades, and they have different configurations requiring differentiated public commentary and redesign. In this 3-block grouping, around half the houses have sidewalks and half don't. It's obvious that the residents that already have sidewalks would not be concerned about this proposal and not motivated to vote. And it's inequitable and dishonest for the system that was created to count a lack of responses as a yes vote. Collecting hand-signed paper votes through regular mail without a legal tracking system is obviously not a secure, transparent, official, trustworthy method of gathering objections to this work and appears to be a scheme to fast-track it. Retrofitted sidewalks will destroy green space, mature trees, lower property values, and change our beautiful green neighborhood for the worse. If the village is determined to push this through, at least provide us with the time and authentic planning meetings that involve residents so that our voices and ideas can be part of the solution.
Thank you. Would you give your comments to? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Renee Greenman, and I live on Lee and Karlov. I'm on the corner. And I am here to support these 2 women and all the other residents of our community who agree with Aaron, Kay, Kim, and myself not to pave our properties. We want your respect and to honor our wishes and us and our property and to leave our property as is. We acknowledge our wishes, I said the wrong word, please acknowledge our wishes and do the right thing. And I thank you very much for this time for all of us. And I will thank you again when you vote our way, the right way. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wheeler, before you leave, would you give your phone number? Give it to me. I'll give you my business card. Give me your phone number.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Joanne Haberlin, and I live half a block off from Church Street. And I somehow missed that there were being 2 bike lines added to Church Street. But I attended the meeting this week, and those of us who went, a whole enclave from our neighborhood went. And we thought it was going to be, okay, sit down in all these chairs we have, we'll tell you about it. and then you ask questions. It wasn't that way at all. It was a quote-unquote open house. So you really didn't get answers or know what was going on. The things that are concerning to us is that by adding the 2 bike lanes to Church Street, you're narrowing the 2 traffic lanes. And somebody said, well, they've added bike lanes to Main Street. Well, Main Street has a median in it. It's not forcing the oncoming traffic closer to each other. Also, I was looking at all the maps that were around the room, and I don't know whether it was just a miss or whether they're actually being taken out, but there's a lot of school crossings. My street, Kenneth, has a school crossing for Devonshire, and the next 2 streets west do. Jane Stenson is right on Church Street. Has that been considered? I don't know whether this is a done deal or whether it's still up to us to help make this decision, but why are we doing this? Why is this a place to spend village money? Just some, and this was one thing that I found online. When Evanston officials added bike lanes to Church Street from Evanston Township High School to the city's border with Skokie, they initially planned to add unprotected on-street bike lanes, like the ones planned in Skokie. But after community members pushed for protected lanes, city planners built separated lanes. And I just, this scares me after having lived and traveled on Church Street virtually every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name's Joe Ferguson, I'm the president of Skokie. I'm gonna go as fast as I can. First off though, I really am very thankful for you, Trustee Johnson, for your fierce advocacy and tenaciousness in resolving the issues with the closed meetings. It's remarkable and I'm very impressed. Next, I would like to address kind of like a dual issue thing. I read recently that the village had decided that there should be only one pawn shop in Skokie, and when the other pawn shop closed, then there was just going to be one. Because it was exploitive. Pawn shops are inherently exploitive. I don't argue with that at all. Sounds like good policy. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. My career is working with people who are vulnerable to exploitation. To that point, this thing really magnifies a lot. There's 2 things. One is the video gambling proposal. What I've put up here, and I made copies, is the comparison between gambling problems and problems that people have with substance abuse. Okay? And it's very clear that they're have a lot of parallel similarities. And particularly, you know, it's an addiction. It's a clinical addiction. It's in the DSM-5-TR, which is a guideline that mental health professionals use for diagnosis. And gambling and substance abuse are both in there. I find it disturbing to say that this is a no-brainer. Gambling is exploitive of residents of Skokie and visitors of Skokie, and contributes to a disease. All right? And then co-joining that is the other issue that's been discussed is serving of alcohol at the farmer's market. Skokie has a renowned farmer's market. It is top notch. Went there yesterday. Fantastic time, really great. There's a phrase that all of you may have heard is hair of the dog that bit you. Okay? That's like somebody who drank all night to get over the hangover, they have a shot. Okay? Hair of the dog that bit you. And so the farmer's market opens up at 7:30 a.m.
Mr. Ferguson?
and then it closes at 12:30. And then the Village Inn opens at 1. Okay? So we go from biting the hair of the dog that bit you to day drinking. I really oppose both of these things and want the village to consider the detriment that it'll do to other people.
Yeah, Mr.
And then real
Ferguson.
quick, there's only one AA meeting in the entire village. So there's no treatment for village residents for substance abuse.
Mr. Ferguson?
Thank you.
Thank you. No applauding, no booing, come on. Yes, sir.
I'm Emmy Yamauchi, resident of Skokie. I wanted to agree with the lady who raised the issues about the bike lanes on Church Street, because it did come up at a recent condo board meeting, and all of the bike riders, among the owners who were in attendance, also felt that bike lanes on Church Street were a death trap, and they said none of them would ever dream of using a bike lane on Church Street. The second issue that came up at the board meeting was Homewood Suites, which everyone had read what was in the Skokie newsletter, but there were questions raised about structural integrity. I know it's been 15 months since work stopped there, and I know that in the past the village has said that the situation is being monitored, but I would like to know, is there a regular inspection schedule there for the structural integrity, or is there some kind of industry standard as to rule of thumb that after an exposed structure goes through a cycle of heat, cold, heat, and then we'll be going into cold again this winter, is there some sort of rule of thumb about what happens to the exposed metal?
We've covered a number of items. We've covered a number of items tonight regarding sidewalk gap fulfillment, bike paths on Church Street, video gaming, et cetera. And so tonight we're listening to your citizen comments.
Okay, so who would I address the question to?
Well, we have done inspections, and it's our understanding that the structure has maintained its integrity and that there is no problems. We've been given those assurances, and it's our understanding that it has been inspected.
Okay, by the village or by the developers or the former developers, people? I mean, when you say it's your understanding and we've been given assurances, by structural engineers hired by or contracted by whom?
I'm happy to have the appropriate staff person get in contact with you to talk about the details if you'd like.
Okay, I'd appreciate it. And lastly, about the video gambling, I'm in agreement with what has been expressed by the previous speaker, but I also wanted to make sure that it goes on record that I am requesting that whatever documentation or materials were used by the board or by the village council in crafting the draft proposal that's going to be put forward, that material be made available to residents who request to view it, much like the way the transcript of the closed meeting from February was made available. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
This includes, this is your 3 minutes.
I think it'll work.
Okay, good, thank you.
Good evening, my name is Howard Sproul, 8649 Niles Center Road. I'm here tonight to express non-consent to the gas-powered leaf blower ban. In fact, the entire village environmental sustainability plan, we do not consent. Many of us are fully aware of facts that the overwhelming purpose of climate Scientology is a tool to enrich billionaires, to pilfer public treasuries, to destroy life and humanity. Sadly, Skokie is enriching this greedy billionaire class by bleeding our treasury on false premises promulgated by grant recipients. Among other enrichments, $35,000 to the village sustainability plan, $40,000 for a supplemental business climate destruction plan, and as I've heard recently, $50,000 on electric leaf blowers, $125,000 at the dictates of greedy billionaires. Imagine all these funds. We all see the nakedness of this fractured fairy tale. We know CO2 is plant food, the gas of life. If anything, at 400 ppm, we are in a CO2 deficit. We know over the last several centuries, we are emerging from a mini ice age. Food production has increased dramatically. Warmer climate and more CO2 means more food. It's interesting, United Airlines now publishes the mass of CO2 emitted per flight like it's a bad thing. But we all know well that it's a wonderful thing, unsequestering more CO2 for the environment to thrive. You may have heard a quote attributed to Agostino Pippo. The truth is like a lion, let it loose, it will defend itself. When facts are examined outside the fog machine, the mesmerizing fabrics woven on looms by a handful of businessmen, facts are clear. Climate Scientology is a foil, a grand charade, a greedy plan as old as greed itself to enrich the wealthy and destroy everyone else. We do not consent to this. Can the gas-powered leaf blower ban release unsequestered CO2? We urge you to end these wasteful expenditures and destructive policies.
You almost got it perfect tonight.
So my hand was a little tricky.
Thank you.
Thank you for your indulgence.
You're welcome, thank you. Okay, we have one more, and then,
I would like to talk about bike lanes on Church and also, I'll get to the other one in a minute. But in order to get the full picture of the discussion that happened at this open house meeting, I urge you to talk to the 2 village staff members who were there, who were talking to people of all different opinions. And all of the people who biked to that meeting had to get there on Church, and we were all in favor of the plan. So I can tell you who the staff members were if you'd like after hours. Yeah, I'm not gonna even bother with that. Okay, change your mind, so thank you. Right.
Trustee Robinson, you've been very patient.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I just wanted to say belated Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. The second thing, just to share a story that happened to me yesterday. So I woke up, last 20 years, I've been going to the Race Against Hate to start Father's Day. And we typically cheat and get a donut on the way home. But for this particular day, we did the same thing. We had lunch, went to CPK at the mall, watched the movie at the mall, and ended with a great dinner at Pita Inn. I'm a cheap date. But I went back, after our lunch with my family at CPK, We walked back out to my car where we witnessed a man who was unresponsive. He was lying on the sweltering hot pavement, and he was getting help. There were chest compressions on the gentleman. Bystanders were there. It was just a terrible sight to see. For about 10 minutes, Skokie Fire Department was giving the help. Skokie Police Department came pretty quickly and, secured the scene. The man appeared to, resuscitate, and it appeared that he was stabilized enough to the fact that the Skokie EMS took him to the hospital. But I couldn't, on Father's Day, to think about a terrible potential tragedy for a family, and how, with the help of our fire and PD, this, it was a miracle that we witnessed. So I just wanted to publicly thank our fire department and our Skokie Police Department for your continued support. I'm sure this happens, but I witnessed it yesterday, and just wanted to publicly thank you and your team for your amazing work and the miracle that you helped perform yesterday.
If there are no further comments,
If there are no further, I'll give one from the public podium. All right, good evening, Mayor and Trustees. For the 14th meeting in a row, I'm speaking about the need to reform Skokie's legal department, and I'm asking you to end the political hiring in this department. For a long time, Skokie mayors and trustees have appointed their own political campaign leaders to very influential, very high-paying positions in the village's public legal department, and done this in consideration and anticipation of their political work. And this practice has resulted in ethics violations. Mayor, I've repeatedly heard you and some of the trustees argue recently that these village attorneys are doing political work simply as independent citizens and not as village employees. There's been this claim that there's a clear line between politics and governance in our legal department, and I've known for years that this is not accurate, and so tonight I just want to give what I think is a very clear example of village attorneys doing political work for the board kind of under their village titles. On YouTube, anyone can find this. It's a political campaign ad from 8 years ago. It was made by Corporation Counsel Lorge. These are just some screenshots, and this political ad, which is titled "A Party of Ideas and Ideals," was made to support the mayor, the trustees, and their political party. It highlights some current trustees and some former village officials, but it begins with and ends with Corporation Counsel Lorge, who is seen politicking for the board's political party, kind of while, importantly, using his village title as a board-appointed village employee. So, members of the board, I know this is an old video, but I think it shows what Skokie residents have known for a long time, which is that the line between politics and governance in our legal department is really blurry, to say the least. Just as a reminder, I'm going to continue speaking about the political hiring in the legal department until the board takes some action to depoliticize this department. There are lots of options available. You could update the board's 1950s appointment process for village attorneys. You could establish a clear code of ethics for village attorneys, or perhaps something else. I am very open to ideas. And at the next village board meeting, I want to be a little more positive in my remarks. I'm going to talk about how I think depoliticizing the legal department would really improve this department and its function within our village government. And I'm going to give some examples of other village departments that have been really intentionally depoliticized and reformed and improved in Skokie history to the betterment of the village. Thank you.
Trustee Sucker. Trustee Coon.
Mayor, I have some concerns. I know Trustee Johnson requested at our upcoming board meeting that the board takes into discussion the process for performance reviews. I don't see that there was anyone who seconded that agenda item being included in the board meeting, and I do have concerns that the corporation manager won't be able to have a serious performance review with political conflicts of interest in executive session. And so that is the reason why I'm hesitant to move forward in executive session with Trustee Johnson.
That view has been expressed to me by several members of the board. Exactly. Trustee Sucker.
I move we adjourn.
Ms. Wheeler?